Welcome back to Dadulthood, and thank you for joining me again for my continued slow descent into Land Rover madness. It's been a little while, so apologies again. I always apologise because it takes me forever to do videos. I've not been able to do a great deal. I have got a great excuse. I've had a problem with my shoulder. I thought I had a frozen shoulder, but actually I had like a lump, basically, that had to have broken apart underneath my shoulder, which was rather uncomfortable. So I've not been able to lift anything for quite a while, actually. So it's been really frustrating because there's tons of things I've been wanting to get going with. I have now had a chance to kind of recover. I'm still got to be careful, and I've managed to get on with quite a few bits and pieces in preparation for when I had the procedure on my shoulder and since then as well. So in this episode, we are going to attempt to try and get Hetty running on petrol, on unleaded. So in earlier episodes, you would have seen that I took out the old LPG tank, as well as the old tiny petrol tank that was hanging off the back as well. It didn't run on petrol. So switching over, there was petrol in the tank. We discovered there was lots of petrol in the tank, actually. It didn't run on petrol. There was nothing wrong with the fuel pump either. So it was just in a terrible kind of condition. It obviously run on LPG most of its life since it had LPG in the car. So that's been out. So since then, we've managed to restore the petrol tank, which I've got some footage of, get that ready, installed, which was an absolute nightmare. I don't have footage of installing the petrol tank. There is a good reason for that. One, because I was not in the right frame of mind to be filming it. It was incredibly fiddly and an absolute pain in the arse. I'm sure there's really easy ways of doing it, but because I've had bad shoulder, everything I've been trying to do was really difficult under the car. Lighting is very dark down that end of the workshop, so I need to get some new lights down that end. So it has just been an absolute nightmare. So I didn't film that, but the tank is in. I will show you around what I've actually done since then. But we're going to try and get things geared up today and try and get things with the pump installed and all working, and then try and start the car. So fingers crossed, by the end of this episode, she'll be running on unleaded and I will have a big smile on my face. So thanks for joining me. Let's crack on. Tank, just another few more coats. We are not looking for a mirror finish on this. We're never going to see the thing again. I just want it protected. So we've taken off all the loose paint. We've also paint stripped everything else with quite aggressive paint stripper, actually, because it was just coming off in sheets. So now everything is protected and covered with like a Hammerite paint. I use Polar. This is the stuff I use. It's way cheaper than Hammerite, and I've had some really, really good results with it. So yeah, that's what I use. Not sponsored, although I have got an affiliate link in description, so it doesn't cost you anything, but I might do earn a couple of pence on it, I think, if you buy some. But it is really good. I'm quite picky about the stuff I buy. It takes me a while to choose what I want to get. I tend to buy it in bulk. I think I've got a link for like 6 of them or 12 of them. It's way cheaper than buying it by the can, especially if you've got a project on the go. So yeah, but it's looking good. I've got to do the underneath. That's the only one I've got to do now. I need to wait for this to dry. It's not the easy thing you can sort of paint in one go. Once that's done, I've got the fitting kit for it. So we've got the new rubber funnel. So this goes onto here. And let's put my glove down. Hang on. Zoom out a little bit once I can make my life a bit easier. Right. So this is the back of the car. This way up, back of the car. Filler going up to the filler tank. This goes up to where you fill the car up, the actual filler. That is the actual filler, so this goes on the other end of that. You won't see any of this. Again, that's been stripped off. It's just all sealant and stuff like that, so that's just been protected as much as possible. That pokes through the hole, screwed in from the other side, so all you see is that. And then I've also painted the petrol cap as well. That's the original. You can buy them for like 14 quid, but actually I was like, just pay the original. So that's painted ready to go. I need to get a new seal for that, and then that will be ready to go. I've got a new breather. It's the breather hose. This goes on to here, and then onto one of these on the tank. It's likely to be, I don't think it really matters which one of these. it goes on one of these, and then follows up through, I think it's probably this back one, that then goes up to basically the breather on the filler neck. What else? We've got a new sender going in. In fact, the sender can go in, to be fair. I'll have a quick look. Get that. I'm trying to think where I put the sender. Where did I put the sender? I thought it was here. It is here. So this is the sender. I might just whack you on the tripod. Give me just 2 seconds. Okay, so this is the nicely decorated tank. So it's just this end I need to paint, which I can do a bit later. This is wet, this end, so I just need to be a bit careful. But yeah, I've got the new sender. And what I was lacking was the locking key. As it happens, I did find a locking key. Or a locking ring. Did find a locking ring for there. Right, so the first thing that goes on though is not the sender. The first thing that goes on is the rubber ring thing. So that's just going to pop in there like that. Go away, Mozzie. And this goes in. Then the little filter sinks right down to the bottom, like that. And this fits in. Which way around does it go? Particular way? It does. Goes like that. There we go. So I have a funny feeling if that's the sender coming out, it's the back of the car. So I'm not sure whether it goes this way around or not. I'll have to double check that. But this then pops in here, and there's like little divots, and goes in, pops in, and then swivels around to lock it in place. Then that will be ready to go. I'm not sure whether it goes this way around or that way around. The fact that they're all pointing that direction would probably mean it goes that way around, but either way. So that's the sender. Quite a simple thing to do, actually, to be fair. So that will be ready to go on. Yeah, so quite pleased with that. I will double check that in the manual now. Here is the petrol tank installed. I am actually very pleased with how it installed. It wasn't simple. There were lots of little fiddly bits and pieces which I wasn't quite sure about, but it's all plumbed up into the actual filler neck now and all installed along the back here, and everything fits quite nicely. Getting the hoses in there was an absolute pain in the arse. And also these brackets on the back, to try and show you, if I can get under there, we're pointing the thingy bob. So those brackets up there were an absolute pain in the derriere. Absolute pain in the arse they were. Mainly because on the other side there was some bracketry that was underneath it and in the way. I had to cut it all out and eventually get this tank into position. So it was a bit of a pain. But we now have the tank installed. I'm very pleased with it. I'll probably have to take it out at some point to sort of do some work on the rear crossmember because that's a bit crusty. But it's in, not leaking, I don't think. No. And should be good for the next few years, hopefully. So here on the passenger side, the left-hand side of the car, at the back, we're by the back wheel, we have the electric fuel pump. So this is no longer pumping. So I have got a new one that came with the car. However, it does say on it, not to be mounted horizontal, must be more than 30 degrees from horizontal, and this is dead flat. So I can imagine that's probably why this thing's knackered, because it's not supposed to be like that. Obviously it needs to be, there's some form of gravity feed to it to ensure that it doesn't dry out the pump. So I'm just disconnecting all this now. I'm going to replace it like for like. There is a power supply to it. I've not checked the power supply yet, but the fact that I've got a spare pump, the fact that the guy bought one ready to put on it, I would imagine that's probably one of the problems. And then we'll get that fitted, and yeah, that'll be, well, we could then probably try start, oh no, I haven't got any fuel, but with fuel, we could then actually try starting the car on unleaded, which would be a fun next step. So this is the box it came in. Parts must be mounted greater than 30 degrees from horizontal. Must not be mounted horizontally. So as you can see from that little video clip, it was indeed mounted exactly horizontally. So I have changed that now. It was a not particularly easy thing to film, so it was a bit fiddly. But it now looks like that. So everything is the same. It's the same pump. Oh, it's a new pump. Same hose connections and all that kind of stuff. So we've just refreshed everything. And it's now mounted vertically. So that should be about as 100% better than what it was mounted last time. So all I've got to do now is tighten up the sump plug. Tighten up the sump plug of the tank itself, because I think I left that a bit loose. The fuel pump is working. Checked on the ignition, so that is working. I need fuel in the tank itself, because the tank is completely empty. So I need a couple of gallons of fuel, and my fuel tanks are full with old fuel, so I need to get rid of those. And then I've got a spare tank. I have got a spare tank, and then fill it up and see if it starts. That is literally where I'm at with this now. So I'm gonna go get some fuel. Right, that was a pavlova. Petrol station wasn't taking any cards. Let's go to the other side of the bloody town to get some. So, but we have got fuel. So I've just double checked the sump plug of the actual tank itself, and it's set up nice and tight. So I've double checked all the hoses, they're all tight. So I'm gonna run some fuel into this. I'm not gonna empty this out. I'm just gonna run some fuel in and see, make sure there's no drips coming out the bottom of the tank, there's no perforations in the tank, all that kind of stuff. I'm pretty certain it's in good enough condition that it's gonna take this, but it's worth just double checking everything before I go nuts. Just have a quick check. Nothing obvious. Tank looks dry. And keep this back open as well. These are all tight. So everything's tight as I can, you know, on this thing. So I'm going to run a bit more fuel into it, I think, than that, because that's probably not going to get. That won't even prime the system, I don't think. Right. Let's see if that primes. Oh, the expensive design of all these things, and they still leak. What do I do with the lid? That's on and fine. Right, I'm going to move you. I'm going to pop you down right by the fuel pump so you can hear it start, the pump start, and hopefully hear it prime through. So let me know if there's any leaks, of course. Right, that is the pump. So hopefully you should hear it come on in a moment, and hopefully you should hear the sound change as it primes the fuel through. Fingers crossed it doesn't piss fuel out all over the place. Right. Okay, the ignition's on. I'm not sure whether that's priming. Let me kind of have a quick look. I think that's the out, isn't it? Which one's the out? That's out at the top. So I might loosen it off in a moment and see if it's got any. Should we have a quick look and see if it's got any fuel coming out of it? I'm literally going by how it was set up before. So it might very well be that it's the wrong. Well, I don't think they ever ran it on unleaded, to be fair. So let's have a quick look. I'm going to be in the way of you, I'm afraid, but let's see if this gets anything out. No, nothing through there at all. If it needs more of a prime, don't know. I'll try and whiz it out like that if I can. Just going to take the petrol cap off, make sure there's no vacuum in it. There shouldn't be because there's a vent tube, but still, that's definitely the right hose. Because that goes to the front of the car. Yeah, because it runs in the metal hose. That is right. So it just needs to prime this through. I don't know if it's just not strong enough to pull a vacuum or not. Right, so I'm going to pop this one back on, because this is correct, because it goes to the hard line, which goes to the front of the car. Let's whack that one back on. Because as soon as I get... oh, damn. If I get fuel to the bottom hose, then it will pump it through. If I can find a bloody screwdriver again. Where's that gone? Right. So, let's get this one off. And see if we can pull that through. Right, I want to try and pull that through if I can. Give me a minute, I'll come back to you. Does that leaf blow out of the hose if I blow through it? Right, I made sure all the pipes are clear, they're all connected properly. It was a very, very technical issue. There wasn't enough petrol in it. So you might be able to hear it prime now, I'm hoping. Let's see. Right, ignition is on. Let's hear if it makes a difference. We have prime. Let's check for ridiculous float fuel. Nothing leaking there. Let's check the pipes at the back. 1 second. I will let you have a look, but for the moment I'm just checking my pipes. That's good. That's good. Okie dokie, we have prime. Whew. 1 second, let's move you to the front. Let's get this going again. I might move you a bit closer actually. And let's see if you can hear it priming through or see anything going into the carbs. It hasn't used unleaded for a while, so I would imagine it might leak a bit. I can hear fuel. There is fuel in those. Oh, I can see leak. I see quite a big leak there. Okie dokie. So we had a leak under one of the bowls, so which is kind of what I expected. Where is it coming from? It's coming from the hose, coming from the float bowl. It's coming from the bowl underneath the carb. Only one of them though. That one's okay. That one is peeing out, which is not ideal. So you have got to wonder that if it was leaking out of there, was it leaking gas when it was running? It's a rather frightening idea, isn't it, really? Okay, so let me move you in. All right, so it's leaking. Can you see that? Where are you? You're there, look. There, look. There. So it is leaking enough that the pressure, so the bowl, obviously the float wasn't closing off the supply, wasn't returning. Now I can't imagine the last time this would have run and unleaded properly or returned fuel. All the hoses seemed clear when I fit them, so they should be okay, but I might have to pull that carb off just to see if that bowl is sealing properly. Again, these are going to need rebuilding probably. I didn't really want to have to rebuild it before before trying to start it. It's a bit annoying, but this side is good. Maybe it's just a hose. I can't see. I think it's the float bowl. So we're going to have to get off. Crikey. What are we going to have to get off? We're going to have to get off. This is the gas hose. Hang on, let's move you out. But there we go. So this is the gas hose. You're going to have to come off. No, not necessarily actually. If I can get that off, the inlet side off with those, then there's 4, I think, of these nuts, like 12mm nuts. And then there's this one hose here, which I think is a gas hose as well. I'm not entirely sure. Looks shit either way. I think that's return. Yeah, probably is return. I'm going to have to take that off as well, aren't I? Oh, how annoying. I'd love to know where it's leaking. Can't get you under there, can I? It's leaking from higher up, isn't it? But not from a hose. How annoying. That one off. That one off. Carb off. Oh, that's annoying. I just wanted to start it. I might shove a rag under it and just give it a start. I'm sure that's a really wise thing to do. But I just want to get it running on unleaded. I have got fire extinguishers everywhere, so I'm going to double check that and put you back on the stand. Right. One sec. Let us get back door open. Move my Pepsi Max. We don't want that getting damaged. Right. We're going to go for a start on petrol. Are you recording still? Yes, you are. Let's give it a go, shall we? Ignition on. On unleaded. It will start. Just going to double check it's not getting ridiculous. No, it looks fine. Might be flooded. Okay. Is there a choke? There is a choke. I don't know if the choke works. I don't know if that choke has worked. Be interesting to know. I can't imagine it will have, but I'll give it a go anyway. Okay, let's try again. Well, run him. Here's run him. Okay. Whew. Okay, so we've got that running. So we've got the, oh, there's the carbon monoxide. 1 second. Whew. Okay, carbon monoxide alarm stopped going off. So we've got it running. I've got to do a bit of work now to get that carb not dripping, which is kind of what I expect to do. To have to do a carb rebuild on both of them. It's running okay. Not sure it's running on all 8 then. I'm not too fast. I just needed to get it running from that fuel tank. So I'm going to check over the fuel tank now and just double check there's no leaking from the hoses. But we've got the new fuel tank in, all connected up, new fuel pump in and running and returning by the looks of it as well. So, and we've got the engine started on unleaded as well. So once it eventually got through, and I think I did probably flood it to begin with, it started actually quite easily and it revs higher, much nicer than when it did on LPG. So fingers crossed that'll be the sort of the general theme of working on Hetty. Let's get a few things done. So I'm gonna
Please be aware, there's carbon monoxide downstairs. The alarm may sound. It's going to be loud.
Joy. We might have to carry on this bit in a bit. All right, let's try this again. The carbon monoxide has now gone, but it's good to have. I've got a little cheap carbon monoxide thing over in the corner which came with the building, but I've also got these Nest jobs, and they are good actually. And they go across the building, so you know. Yes, they kick out a lot of carbon monoxide. That happened when I started Clifford in here as well, actually. But I had him turned around, so it was blowing fumes into here. This time I had Hetty pointing outwards, and it still put a lot in here. Likely there's probably a blow from the exhaust up here anyway, so I think probably the next time I start it, I'll push her out. But yeah, anyways, a exciting end. So like I say, we've got the petrol tank done, restored and in, the old LPG tank out, the old petrol tank out, everything hosed up correctly, tightened down, made sure it's all clearanced okay and fitting properly. New fuel pump in, that's working just nicely as well. Heard that prime, not leaking at all. Lovely, lovely, lovely. So it's that's probably a good start and a good place to finish this video. It has been a while. Like I said, I've been kind of nursing my shoulder, so it's been difficult to sort of do any work on it. But thanks again for coming back to the channel and watching this episode. Next episode, we should start either probably stripping that down or might even be doing some more work on the doors. So I've got a bit of stuff on the doors to show you a bit later, and that will probably be in the next one or the next couple of videos. But ideally, I just want to get this on the road, and we're not far off from a voluntary MOT. So until the next time, please do like, share, subscribe, all that wonderful stuff. We are nearly at 1,000 subscribers. There's 1,000 crazy people just like you watching my videos. Absolutely unbelievable. So thank you ever so much. I really do appreciate it. So until next time, thanks very much. See you again.